Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. And you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. These words come from the 6th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy, one of the 5 books of the Pentateuch, at the beginning of the scriptures of the Torah in the Jewish tradition. And you might be asking yourself, no, this isn't one of today's readings. And yet, I think it's critically important to breaking open today's readings. These words are expounded in Jewish tradition as part of the prayer, the great prayer of Judaism known as the Shema Israel. The Shema, as it's known as a single word, is a prayer that encapsulates the faith that is based on that command from God, that God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind, all your strength, as we hear later in the Gospels. But beyond that, this idea that you should drill it into your children, that you should be aware of it every hour, when you rise, when you sleep, when you dine, that you shall wear it on your forehead, between your eyes, have it on your doorpost. This is something that observant Jews did, and still to this day, many take very seriously. In fact, many wore little phylacteries on their wrists or on their forehead, on their arm, that contained these words. These words can even be found etched in gas chambers and concentration camps. These are the words that many an observant Jew chose to utter as their last words before death. This is because this was foundational to faith. It's a prayer of humility, that God is the only God. There is only one God, and it's not me. This idea relates critically to the readings that we hear today, as Jesus breaks open the encounter with the rich young man, telling his disciples how difficult it is for those with riches to enter the kingdom of God. He does not speak out against the riches themselves, but he speaks to the disposition of heart that is all too common to those who accumulate wealth, possessions, and that is a self-serving heart. The heart grows lazy, sleepy, when one seems to have every need cared for, or even worse yet, when one begins to hold themselves responsible for having accumulated so many good things. This heart is prone to turn away from God, to exalt oneself, one's own wisdom, as we hear in the first reading, as the Lord chastises a ruler for his own self-perceived wisdom and greatness. There's apps today that help you track your activity, either your phone usage or even at work, to help you figure out what amount of time each day you use on each activity. I wonder if we had an even greater one to track how much we think of God each and every day. And I don't just mean times of formal prayer, but how many times God is at our front and center of our mind when we encounter another person. How often we consciously see Christ in them as we serve another. When our faith influences what we do when we stop and pray for another. This ancient Jewish practice of the Shema is a great reminder to us of the need to pray without ceasing, to pray throughout our day, to have spiritual practice, visual reminders, things to constantly make sure our minds are attuned to God and to our place in His creation. There is only one God, and I am not it. May we love the Lord our God with all our heart, always.